Hello everyone, Elytra Storm here, and today we are doing another what if scenario. This what if the three Saiyans, Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz, had actually acted on their plans to overthrow Frieza a lot sooner? Now, this is a what if that I actually thought up myself, and I did a fanfiction on back whenever I first got into Dragon Ball, and it was bad. It ended up with Raditz going Super Saiyan and stuff like that, stuff you don't want to see. But now I've actually done some thinking about it recently, and it actually has a big change once I actually thought about it. So, without further ado, let's just jump into it. So this what if occurs about a few months before Raditz actually originally arrived on Earth to find Kakarot. And in this case, the Saiyans just got out of a mission, and they're still on the deserted planet, and that's when Vegeta brings something up. Vegeta says that they are not nearly strong enough to actually act on their plan of overthrowing Frieza, because just to take out Kui, Vegeta would need help of Nappa and Raditz. And so Nappa brings up that there's a way that they can actually boost themselves to that level, this being the Saiyan Zenkai boost. Now, Nappa states that they would basically get stronger if they all just blasted each other at full power without holding back. And so they all gather in a circle and blast each other at full blast, causing massive damage. Raditz gets up and uses his scouter to communicate with a pod, so they are brought back to their chambers and given the proper healing that they need in a healing tank. And since they are in this healing tank, once they get out, they will become stronger. Now, Vegeta originally got about a 1.33 times boost from fighting Goku and healing, so we're going to apply that same boost. Nappa, we're going to give him the same boost as well, and Raditz, he is going to get a 1.33 times boost as well. So they all get the boost, and Vegeta's power level ends up 24,000, Nappa's power level ends up about 8,000, and Raditz's ends up about 2,000. So they've all gotten slightly stronger, but they all still know that they would just barely be able to take out one of the elites. And I'm going to change up some of the scaling. Originally, Vegeta at 24,000 was able to take out Dodoria, who was at 22,000, and base Zarbon, who was at 23,000 with ease. But we're just going to say that he would have a lot of difficulty, especially since their power levels are so close. They decide that their powers aren't good enough, and they go off on a really intense mission. And they land on another planet about a month later, and they just battle it out. These guys are too strong for their base forms, so they go Zaru by throwing up power balls. Looking at these fake moons, they transform, which boosts their power level 10 times over. They use this to be able to take out their enemies, but when there's just a few left, one of them blasts the fake moon, causing them all to fall to the ground. The Saiyans have now accumulated pretty good damage, and so once they get back into fighting, they barely win. And so they call another healing team, they're taken to another healing chamber. Okay, so Vegeta, after this Zenkai, is going to be about a 30,000, which is what he was after he fought Zarbon. Nappa is going to be a power level of 10,000, and Raditz finally is going to be a power level of 3,000. After this, and recovering, Vegeta decides to go to Frieza's throne room and asks him if he may battle Zarbon for rank of second in command on Frieza's team. And Frieza obliges, but Vegeta has suppressed himself to the level where it looks like he hasn't even gained any strength whatsoever. So Frieza is just entertained and just decides to let the monkey be defeated. So Zarbon, the rest of the Saiyans, and all of the Frieza force, including Dodoria and Kui, gather in Frieza's throne room. And Frieza is likely prone to call everybody in because he relies heavily on humiliation tactics. Whenever he sees a weakling, he wants them to be humiliated and to know that they're a weakling. So whoever loses this fight is going to be forever known as weak. Zarbon reads Vegeta's power level with his scouter, and he says 18,000. That's still the exact same power that you were not even a month ago. And Vegeta says, look closer, but just as he does that, he rushes in and hits Zarbon right in the gut. And Zarbon spits out spit, and he's just shocked. How could you hit me with that much force, he says. And basically, Zarbon just decides to take another look at his power level once he's rushing in, and he sees 30,000. That just knocks his socks right off. And so, after taking a few more hits and making a few attempts at hits, failing, he decides to just go into his full power form, which is his true form, even though it disgusts him. And he powers up into his monstrous, ugly form, which boosts his power level. After powering up to his full power, Zarbon unleashes a fierce rush of ki blasts at Vegeta, but once the smoke clears, Vegeta is left without a single scratch. Is that all you've got, Zarbon? It appears you're mortal after all, Vegeta says, wiping his cheek. So tell me, are you going to show me your true power now? He says right after. Zarbon is aghast at all the power that Vegeta now has, and so he uses his last resort. He grabs his wrist, disappears, and appears above Vegeta, and fires an elegant blaster. However, Vegeta cocks back his arms and fires a Gallic gun at full power. Zarbon is easily overpowered and is sent flying into a wall, making him the laughing stock of the Frieza force and the loser of the battle. And Zarbon falls to the ground. Now, this basically proves that Zarbon is really cocky, and so is Vegeta, but Vegeta was properly cocky. So, since this is the case, Frieza decides to keep his word and says that now Vegeta will be the leader of an elite squadron. And obviously some of Zarbon's elites join Vegeta because either A, they're scared that Vegeta would kill them, or B, they just, they're the strongest, so they have to go with the strongest. And a few of them stay loyal to Zarbon, but nobody really cares. And so Zarbon is thrown down to third in command, actually, because Vegeta is now second in command. Vegeta then selects his elites, and he chooses Nappa to be on his elite team, because, Nappa is basically stronger than any other elite, besides Dodoria and Kui and Zarbon. But when Raditz is ready to be chosen, nothing. He gets nothing. Vegeta just tells him, you're a weakling. You can't be on my team. I can't have a weakling representing my elites. It'll make me look weak. And we can't have that now, can we? Raditz is furious. He goes out on a mission on his own to basically let out some of his rage and stuff like that. And once he goes onto that planet, it's a very hard fought battle, and so he sustains a lot of damage. Goes Uzaru using the power ball, but he wins. He destroys the power ball himself, since he already won. Falls to the ground heavily injured, but he is able to escape. And so whenever he heals in a healing chamber, his power level boosts to a 4,800, which is about a 1.6 times boost. So now that he has that power, he decides that he will battle to join Vegeta's elites. And Vegeta obliges. If you can beat him, then you should join my elites. And luckily, there's a warrior who is basically the strongest out of Vegeta's elites besides Nappa, who challenges Raditz. And this warrior has a power level of 4,500. So 4,800 versus 4,500, Raditz is barely winning. But just as he's barely winning, Vegeta whispers something to Nappa, and just as Raditz is about to finish him off with a double Sunday, Nappa blasts him from behind and hits the ground, heavily wounded. The warrior that he was fighting was confused, but he took the victory, and Raditz was sent to a healing chamber yet again. This healing chamber gave him a Zenkai, which would put him at a power level of 6,400, since it's coming from Nappa, of all people, and he had already just experienced a really heavily fought battle. However, once he's done healing, the warrior that he had fought steps in to his chambers and says, look, I know that you are stronger than me. You should have won that, and I know that they cheated. And Nappa wonders why, but then he realizes that he's just a low-class warrior, and that even if he was strong enough, even if he was stronger than Nappa, Vegeta would still never allow him just because he is a low class. It's the same thing with Bardock. Bardock brought all the Saiyans. He was stronger than anyone in that room, but yet none of them believed him because he was just low class. If he was a king, that would have definitely changed. But the warrior talks to Raditz, and he says, well, I'm sure your family would be proud. And Raditz turns his head, but then his eyes widen. Family! The warrior looks at him. What? What's so special about the word family? And Raditz gets up and races to where the pods are. And that's just before he enters the pod, he looks at the warrior and says one word. Kakarot. And after he says that, he explains that he needs to escape, but not to let anyone know where he has been, or where he is going, or that he has left. And so, he gets in the pod and sets the coordinates for Earth. And that's where we're going to stop this what if part. Now, did you guys like this what if? If you did, comment down below. Give the like, subscribe, I guess. Tell me which one do you want to see. Tell me if you want me to do a discussion or a versus debate or something like that. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed.